Yeah, I have a surprise for Ryan and for everybody. Um, like what we normally do on the show, right? Is uh, I kind of go through, scroll the day, kind of see what's going on. There's a couple specific things we'll hit them, talk about them, whatever. But the surprise is I don't have anything, and let me explain. Uh, let me explain what that means. There's not one specific thing or five specific things I kind of want to touch on today. There's one general thing I want to touch on, and I want your thoughts on this. This isn't. I guess this stems from one specific thing, which is I think it's Poly Market. A poll came out. Was it Poly Market? And there was a big surge and a big switch that would give the Democratic Party an 80% uh, likeliness to regain control of the House. And some people have been commenting on this and kind of trying to lay blame where they see the blame to be laid. And it typically is at the feet of people like Candace Owens or Tim Pool or whatever. Just like pick like your influencer, and it's like this influencer is the reason for whatever reason. A lot of people seem to be picking Candace Owens. Now, we've talked about this on the show before, and I think people are really, really, really missing the point. Which is influencers are famous for a reason. It's because they represent an audience. They don't. It's not so much though. I don't think this happens the way that people suspect this happens. This isn't people go and carve and pave their own paths. Now, maybe there's some persuasion to some extent, or one way or the other, but ultimately, people who have large audiences are because they are representing that large audience. And the larger the audience, I think the assumption could be, I guess the bigger the influence, the assumption is the more um, that particular way of thinking, I guess, if you want to say, is actually more popular than people might think it is. I said this during for example, the most recent election, which is people think Trump is like the problem, but really what people don't understand is if you were to take Trump out, I think we mentioned this maybe during the assassination attempt. If you were to take Trump out, what you're forgetting is the people still exist who put Trump in power. So taking out the front man isn't really going to do anything. Taking out Charlie Kirk isn't going to do anything. The people who still believe in Charlie Kirk, the people who still followed his views, still hold those views today. If nothing else, you're empowering those views, you're strengthening, emboldening those views, because those people now are going to double down on what they believe. Because it's like if you're going to attack me over my views, that just like proves to me that the thing I believe in almost has that much power, because like you've given it now this much power. If that makes sense.
Like talking shit about Nick Fuentes, saying he's the fringe minority, but every day that you talk about him, you're just magnifying how much power he has.
Yes.
Or Candace Owens.
Well, you rightfully pointed out when the PBD podcast, I don't remember his name, Adam, I think, was talking about Candace, and like, she doesn't have famous friends. You're like, okay. The irony is you're on a famous podcast talking about her. What does that mean? And
but while simultaneously, David, she's so famous that she can sway an election in a country of 320 million people.
Well, yes.
Not famous. Has no famous friends. She just is in everybody's living room.
Yes, no famous friends, but she's the reason why the Democratic Party is going to win the House, right? because she's attacking all these people. And this is what really begs the question, because what it comes down to is they're blaming people like Candace Owens or whoever may be attacking one another. And it begs the question, it is infighting, in whatever this means, whether you want it to be within the party, right? Infighting within the Republican Party, infighting among the conservatives, infighting among the libertarians, infighting among the people on the right, political right, the broad spectrum of the right, whatever you want that to mean. The infighting in general, is it worth it? Do you think it's better to, if like me and Candace agree on 80% of stuff, but like 20% of stuff, it's like, man, I'm just not there with her. Or if me and Fuentes agreed on 80% of stuff, but 20% it's like, man, I'm not there. Me and Tucker, 80%. Me and Steven Crowder, 80%. Me and Tim Pool, 80%. Is it worth fighting so hard on the 20% that you lose ground? I guess what I'm talking about is not casting what is right aside, not saying you should do that. I'm saying if you were to cast what's right aside and you were to play this like a political game, and I think this is where the Democrats win, right? If you play it purely as a democratic political game, if you and nothing else, would you be farther ahead avoiding the debates on the 20%?
You literally are describing why there was slavery in America after its inception, but they talked about free men. What you just described is why there was slavery in America after America became its own country. It's because they had to get a country started before they could free black people. Because they could only agree on 80% that, hey, fuck England, we can do it better. The 20% was women and children and slavery and land. And Thomas Jefferson and John Adams, right? Famous best friends, hated each other politically. What you're describing has literally been the problem of this country. Not a problem. It's been a function of freedom since the inception of this country. And to your point, David, about the Democrats do a good job of just tucking everybody in there. You're with us or you're off the boat. But then when you get like an AOC or a Bernie, you see how they rallied against Bernie during the 2016 primary when there was delegates.
They managed to keep him in line at the same time. Isn't that fascinating?
There was the people voted for Bernie, and the delegates voted for Hillary Clinton.
Do you think this is a almost like a byproduct of the type of people who vote for those two parties specifically? Like people, like to go to your point about being disagreeable, right? Do you think infighting on the right is more common because the type of people who vote for the right are the type of people who are by nature disagreeable?
Yeah, they're more independent thinking. Yeah, like I could.
It's Jordan just Peterson the way it's said, going to be.
Yeah, it's a personality thing. Jordan Peterson said one of the biggest other than gender, like sex, the biggest indicator of somebody being conservative or liberal is their disgust sensitivity, which rides on the personality trait of the big five of orderliness. So the more orderly you are, you tend to vote more conservative, which means you have a higher disgust threshold. A lower disgust threshold. It means you like things a certain way. Like it's like you're gross. Basically, you're political ick. So I would wager, especially, to your point about the people on the right, they're more likely to be entrepreneurs, I'm sure. They're more likely to be believing in God. They're more likely, the standard, the pro-gun, pro-life people. These people are naturally going to be willing to fight for their beliefs. The personality makeup for that is somebody that probably has a low threshold for disgust. And it's like, I don't fucking like that idea. You're an idiot. Fuck you. And it don't matter your mom. It don't matter if it's my mom, my dad, my sisters, my countrymen, my boss, my job. I'll get a new job. I'll go to jail. I'm a prime candidate for this. Like, fuck you. I'll just quit and get a new job. And I did every time. Fuck you, I'm out of here. I wouldn't even say nothing. Just go put my 2 weeks in. I don't work here. I don't care about your 401k. It's going to get fucking sucked up by Bitcoin anyways. I don't give a fuck. You know, Mr. Oh, you'd sound more intelligent. If you want intelligence, go to college. I've had enough of people lying. I've had enough of people murdering people. I've had enough of my country being taken. I've had enough of my civil liberties being gutted. Hang all politicians. I'm not saying hang just the blue ones. They're all traitors. I've had enough. So I do contribute to the infighting. I do contribute to the influencer war on these people, David. Now, it's not Candace Owens' scope yet, but put me on a stage with Candace Owens. I'm sure her and I will get to the bottom of a lot of things. Get me on Crowder. Get Dave and I on Crowder. I'll get to a lot of things. Because I've just had enough. I have had enough. People have had enough. There's infighting on the right because the right has been. I told you guys during the election, Dave and I talked about, these aren't Republicans. Like this whole thing of like conservatism and Republicans and the party of Trump. No, Trump is a symptom of people having enough. We talked about it, 3 weeks ago? MAGA is just on the ass end of the Tea Party movement, which was morphed into something else that was something before that, the Reagan conservatism that had enough of him. The George Bush, the neocons, came in after the conservatism of Reaganism, right? Led to neocons, and then people had enough of that. They were the anti-war, pro-gun, pro-America libertarians that formed the Tea Party when Barack Obama was spying on Christian groups and giving guns to fucking drug cartels. That they're like, I just want a fiscally responsible, limited government. And that's not what I'm getting, and that's not what these Republicans are voting for. That's the whole saying that it's two wings of the same bird. Congress is purple. It's not blue or red. It's purple. They work together.
I wanted to come back
But I
to,
do,
to something I said earlier too.
yeah, I do like your point about the personality trait. That's honestly, that is something that is very overlooked in political philosophy. And there could be reasons for that, David, obviously, but just us referencing it and you referencing it is a very good. It actually, that makes more sense than you actually having political beliefs. It's just your personality.
I said at the start of this whole point, I said just politically speaking, let's cast aside everything else. Let's just talk politically. Would it make sense? Would it make sense to just agree on the 80% and let the 20% slide?
Depends on what the 20% is.
Well, but that goes back to what you had to cast aside, right? And I guess that brings me to this. I 100% will always choose infighting every time, because in order to ignore the 20%, what did I say? You have to cast aside what you believe is morally right. So I won't do that. I won't. There will always be infighting. If you disagree with
This
me
is
on
the
20% of
99%
things,
freedom thing.
yes. If you disagree with me on 20% of stuff, man, what's that 20%? Because if it's important to me, we're gonna infight. Like every time. Every time. Do you think now when I say 20%, I don't mean you think taxes should be 6% and I think we should abolish taxes. I think I could slide. You're still lowering taxes. Like, man, maybe we can make a deal here. I think you should abolish them completely. You're saying 6%. I don't know. Maybe we can make a deal. If the 20% we're talking about is, we should block the Epstein files because it's potentially bad for Trump. Man, I'm not with you. I'm not with you on that. This is the 20% we're going to disagree on now. I'm all for releasing it. I don't care who it's bad for. It's bad for the people it's bad for because they were clearly doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you want to block that because yay, go team? Not there. Can't do it. And let me make another point about Candace Owens real quick too, because I think, speaking of infighting, a while ago, I was not her biggest fan by any stretch of imagination. She did something a long time ago that I really didn't like. I've always said that I can maybe count on two hands the amount of politicians in DC that I actually respect, and usually I only need one hand. And forever ago, she went after and primaried Thomas Massey, who to me is one of, I've never sat and counted all of them, probably 4 or 5 people in Congress at any given point that I actually respect. And to me, that was like, if you're going to go after Thomas Massey, man, you're part of the system. Like, you clearly want to be part of the system. And the point about Candace Owens is, like, I don't know. I feel like over the years we've been fairly consistent, and we've watched people come our way. Like, Candace Owens has come our way. Donald Trump came our way. Nick Fuentes came our way. Tucker Carlson came our way. He had the awakening, man, when he found out that people were actually wiretapping Trump. That woke Tucker Carlson up. He came our way. I've said on the program many times, and man, I'm to the right of a lot of these people. I really believe that. The Tucker Carlsons of the world, the Candace Owens of the world, the maybe not Nick Fuentes. I'm to the right of a lot of these people. And
well, Nick Fuentes was like forklifted and dropped off on that side. It wasn't like he just was like, you know what? Fuck these people.
But even Fuentes did come our way, right? Because like as he's described himself, he was like a basic bitch, pumpkin spice. Like, dude, he was that guy.
I grew up in Chicago suburban. I was Republican raised. My mother and father are still married, just average conservative. Mm-hmm. I've never been an average as long as I've been politically awake, David, you know this, I have been the extreme of the extreme people. Like, I couldn't even vote for people. I've voted on a proxy vote to just, in this blue state, I just vote red. I just vote red because blue, like, I don't want the blue. Well, Ben Shapiro told me I should move.
It's kind of one of those things about living in a state that's like such a stronghold. You can always just vote your conscience because you know, like in your specific case, like the guy you want's not going to win anyway. But like the people you really don't want, they're going to win regardless. So it's like, just you might as well just vote your conscience and be good. Like, I'm going to vote for the people I want because, quite frankly, the people I don't want are going to win regardless. It's not like I have to play a political game and like, should I vote for this? Because it doesn't matter. Like, my person's going to lose.
This reminds me of the Jews in Texas, David. You know what I mean? When I told you my family friend went down and he was like, dude, they did this in New York. They're like, no, they would never do this. That's the 80%. Those people in Texas are operating on, they're like, well, look at, the 80% here. But like, yeah, but the 20% you're giving up is like gun control or a little pro-life, like, dude, eventually your 20% becomes another 20% or another 20%. That's Overton window.
Well, also, I don't know how you bring up abortion, man. It's like the 20%. What's the 20% in abortion? It's the heartbeat bill. It's like it's better than third term abortion. Yeah, it is, but it's still killing something that lives by definition. Like, we're talking heartbeat bill. Heartbeat bill. It's in the name. You're killing a thing that isn't you with a heartbeat.
Well, it's just a political term. It's just a political term, David. Heartbeat is just a political term they labeled the bill. Just like the Freedom of Information Act and the Patriot Act.
It's surrounded by this
Affordable Health Care Act.
This like pragmatic approach to policy, right? Where it's like, well, you can't just ban abortions because people wouldn't like it, but like a heartbeat bill is fine. And it's like, okay, but like now I'm casting aside, right? What's morally right? Now I'm casting aside what's morally right to make policy. I don't know. Ban abortion. You can't get an abortion. I'm sorry. You can't have it. Yeah, but what if I don't care? No. You're killing something. No.
Yeah, the affording kid thing is crazy too. Well, I couldn't afford children. Like, no one can afford children. I didn't have health insurance. Okay. Condoms are 99 cents. Now, granted, I haven't wrapped up in a while, but like, holy fuck, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm out on all that. I'm out. I'm sorry, I'm out on that. Heartbeat bill. I'm supposed to applaud it. Okay, yeah, it's better than third term trimesters. Trimester abort. Sure. It's still worse. It's still worse.
Step in the right direction,
it's
David.
Worse than what I want. It's still worse than what I want. I want no killing of innocent babies. I don't want to kill the babies. I'm sorry. Maybe that makes me a bad person. I don't want baby
Well,
deaths.
this, you know, to your point, David, about the 20%, it's literally why the Pilgrims came here, right? Religious freedom, because they couldn't just worship their God that they wanted.
The infighting's worth it. It's worth it.
Well, let's look at this through a business lens. Now, not that I've ran business, but how do you make a business better? Do you just focus on the 80% of shit that you do right, or you look at the
No,
20% of stuff that you can do?
yes. You always look at the what's next. What do I do better? What's the 5 things I do poorly and how do I improve them? You're
Where's
never
the
going to
waste? Where's the mismanagement?
Yes, you can't just rest on your laurels like, well, we did pretty good last month. Let's keep doing that and we'll keep doing pretty good. There's not a real successful business on earth that operates that way. There's a lot of pretty mediocre businesses that might operate that way, and some of them might keep the doors open for years. But no elite businesses operate that way. No
No
elite
business that
people
grows.
operate that way.
Yeah,
People pay Patrick Bet David. What was that number? Was it
it's
like
$1,000
50,000?
for.
It was like 50 grand or something for like 30 minutes or some crazy shit.
Oh
It was
yeah,
like a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. You know why they pay him 50 grand for a half hour conversation? Because he's fucking elite. You know why? Because he doesn't sit and stay and say, well, we had pretty good sales last month. That's not how you get to a billionaire.
Did
I
Tom
did all
Brady
right.
win 7 Super Bowls by
Yeah.
focusing on the 80% stuff he did right?
Yeah.
He did all the diet.
Well,
He works out the same. He did his diet nutrition the same. He did this the same. All that shit's the
Tom
same.
Brady.
You're like, well,
Tom
just
Brady
didn't
never
work.
had the 60% completion percentage and thought, well, that was pretty good. I guess we'll just. No, he was like, dude, why the fuck wasn't it 65? Why wasn't it 70? Dude, the
Mad at
elite
people for
people
dropping
operate.
passes in practice.
He did.
In practice.
He
He
did.
fucking, what the fuck? In practice.
I don't
Kobe
think
Bryant worked out 3 hours a day in practice.
people don't understand. The average person truly does not understand. Dude, elite people operate so much differently than you. You have no idea. You have no fucking idea.
Their Ferraris were Toyota Camrys. Like your
It's
Toyota
not even
Camrys,
close.
their Ferrari.
It's not even close. It's night and day. You would think that person was an insane person. You'd be like, no, this person's fucking crazy. Nobody operates this way. No, people do operate this way. The top people in the world operate this way.
To
And
your point, David, personality, maybe you have to be a psychopath to just keep slimming the fat down. Maybe it does take a
we kind of
psychopathic.
talked about that a little bit. Like the top CEOs in the world, they like almost always are what like some form of like psychopathy, right? Like sociopath. Like there's always like the top elite people are just that way personality trait by nature. Like that's the kind of person it takes.
If cops and criminals had the same chemical makeup, the only difference was a few bad or good decisions that made them a criminal. If you look at brain scans, if you look at personality traits, criminals and cops are both disagreeable, violent tendencies, just the whole, they've done studies on it. And the only difference is like mentors or like college, or they started smoking young. It's just like a couple life, you're 10 decisions away from ruining your whole life and being in jail. And that was it. But same chemical makeup, same personality traits, same fucking overlap. That's why correctional officers and fucking inmates have problems. They're the same person. And then we, train them to not see themselves in the very people that they're manhandling. The Stanford University experiment.
Hmm. Mhm.
That's when they took the inmates and made them prisoners, and took the prisoners and made them inmates, and they took doctors and they put them in there, and then they became tyrannical. And it's interesting, David. Do you bring up the 80 and 20% for a reason? Because it's just being highlighted, or
I
at
think
least
those
the
numbers
point
were
of
they
blame?
just yeah. I think the 80-20% was just more of like a random. It wasn't a
I
specific
mean,
number. It was kind of just like to make a
right,
point of.
the
I think
concept of infighting.
Well, yes, because I think most people on the political right truly do agree on most things most of the time. Like they really do. Like me, honestly, like me, and then pick like any like lame, fucking straight down the middle Republican probably
Charlie
agree
Kirk.
on sure 85% of things, right? I don't know the exact number, but whatever. Like it's a high number. We agree on most stuff.
The I
But there are
side with.com thing, I was
Mhm.
pretty high. I was in the 80s for the constitutionalist that was running. I was like 90 something, 93%. And then Trump was like 80s.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't I vote for the guy then? If I have to pick now the 20%, to your point, David, 20%, I should be able to go to my representatives and be like, dude, this is my fucking issue now. Now that you're in power, this is the 20% of our party that needs to be addressed. Let's fucking fix it. And if not, get to other people and we can compromise. Now, you're not always going to have compromises. Abortion's a prime one, but
Yeah, the more we can make that 20%, 19%, 18%, 17%, 16%, let's start winding that back. I'm not saying it's all going
well,
to be one foul swoop, right? Like the heartbeat bill is a good thing. I know I just made a joke about it. Like I just want to ban them. I just want to ban abortions. I understand the pragmatic approach, but the problem is you can't let that slip away. Like, all right, let's
Overton
start.
window takes over at some
Let's
point, right?
yes. So let's start with the heartbeat bill, and then let's Tom Brady our way to this full on abortion ban. Because quite frankly, the abortion bill, like a heartbeat bill, only works if it's the start. If it's the end, then you've accomplished nothing because you have the same results. So what are we really talking about here? Like, is infighting worth it? I don't know. Are your morals worth it? Does what you think is right worth it? And if it
I wonder
isn't,
if
like,
Jesus died on the cross for 20%, David.
well, yes. If that 20% isn't worth it, if your morals aren't worth it, if what you think is righteous isn't worth it, then like, are you a serious person? Like, if you don't take yourself, you don't take your own morals seriously. You think that's like, what does that even say about you as a person?
That you're for sale, right?
A little
Most
bit,
people are for
yeah.
sale.
Or like you don't even take yourself seriously. Like you don't even care about the things you say you care about. Like if you're just gonna let everything you care about slide, like I, you, then by definition, you don't really care about the things you care about. It's not. It's not. I guess I titled the episode. Is infighting worth it? But I don't even think that ultimately isn't even the question though. The question is, um, why is there infighting, and if there is infighting, is there a way to stop infighting? That's a an actual way to stop infighting. I'd like to stop it for the right reasons. I'd like to stop it because we changed people's minds to come my way. I'd like to think that people who passed the heartbeat bill, this has just been the example throughout the show. This is the reason for this episode has nothing to do with abortions, but um, like the people who passed the heartbeat bill, is that what they wanted, or was that what they thought they could get? And if it's
Yes.
it, and if it's what you thought you could get, but it's not what you wanted, did you stop pushing? And if you did, do you care about what you say you care about? Because if
It's
you
like
got the
appeasement behavior.
yeah, if you get the heartbeat bill passed and you're like better than nothing, and then you just move on to something else, have you really accomplished what you wanted to accomplish? Did you really do what you set out to do?
I just heard a thing about Tate. Tate was on some podcast. I should have sent it to you because it's beautiful. But he goes on like a 3-minute rant about how like they wanted me to come out and say sorry and cry and say I'm sorry that I went against the Matrix. I'm sorry that I was misogynist. I'm sorry that I had a past. And he's like, I'm not fucking doing that. He's like, you could put me back in that jail for 40 years. I'll come out with a big bushy beard. I ain't fucking apologizing for nothing. Because if I apologize, then all my hard work is for nothing. He said, and all those people that look up to me as an icon, as an idol, knowing that I won't break, and I break because I come out against the matrix that I said I'm going to destroy, and I say I'm sorry. It all stands for nothing. May your chains rest upon you lightly. He didn't say
Uh,
that. I added Patrick Henry, David.
Mandy says, are we wanting to ban abortion or that the government will pay for it? I'm against abortion personally, but people will just use a coat hanger. You can't really stop people from doing things. You can't stop people from doing things, but should you encourage people to do things? I guess.
This is like saying we should make weed legal because cocaine's bad.
Or, well, in general, just, should you legalize drugs? This is kind of a libertarian argument, right? Like, should drugs be legal because people are going to do them anyway?
Probably not. Should we allow suicide because there's too many people on Earth? I mean, take this to
here being in Canada, the government will pay for you to have 10 abortions if you want. If we take away the free part, maybe less people will do it. Okay, but now I could argue the same argument, right? Like, if you take away the free part, are people just going to use coat hangers because they can't afford abortions?
Well, at some point, you'd think that woman that keeps sticking a coat hanger up there would die, and then we don't have to worry about it anyways. Or is that called heartlessness? Am I being heartless?
Unfortunately, unfortunately, the answer to a lot of questions, but the answer to the abortion also, there has to be a mass culture change and a mass culture shift back to God. Like, that's the only answer. It has to go back to God. Like, we have to go back to Christianity. I know I've said this before, and I also acknowledge that I have been hypocritical in this because I am not even that religious, but I do acknowledge that society, the more society strays from God, the worse society, it gets worse every time. It has not improved in any metric.
I'm going to say this too, like I've said about housewives getting beat by their husbands, that was glorified by television. I would love to know the actual statistic of coat hanger abortions because I don't think it's as mass scale as they said. I think they took 1%, inflated it, made it sound like it was 99% of abortions or 99% of the cases. And then they got people through Overton window and propaganda and the silver screen that releases dopamine to make you fucking vote against your values. How the fuck we're killing children?
Well, to your point,
We're killing children.
To your point, that happens a lot with like the incest or rape arguments, right? Like, you'll always hear this in the abortion. Well, what about exceptions for incest or rape? Okay, but we're talking about way under 5%, under 2%, maybe under 1% of abortions. And Crowder actually makes a great point on this, and it's a little bit of the 20-80%, but I think it's to make a point, right? Which is, okay, if we take those off the table, can we ban abortions?
Yeah, how
his
about
point
you
is,
only...
if they don't agree with you, then okay, then you're never going to meet me in the middle. You'll never meet me in the middle. In which case, why would I bend for you? You're never going to meet me there. So no, absolutely not. It's just ban. It's just ban them.
Because it's not about stopping abortion or limiting abortion. You're the carbon they're trying to eliminate. And the idea that there's a number of abortions that you're allowed to have by Canada is disgusting.
Planned Parenthood was literally founded by somebody who was into eugenics. So, like, if that doesn't, literally, this is why, Ryan always says talk history, politics, religion, right? Like, if that doesn't tip you off, then I don't know what the fuck would. Sorry, I swore. Maybe it made me sound unintelligent, right?
The eugenics programs that like Hitler used and they used in slavery to make stronger black people to mine grain and rice and binding Chinese women's feet so they can't run away from each other. Just shit like really that. Bad. The shit we used for dogs and vegetables they applied to people. And I'm going to say this about
because the NFL is just, there's no white people anymore. I mean, we're just so... They're just so much bigger, stronger, and faster, Ryan. You can't even keep up with them.
Yeah, ain't it crazy? You bred out all the weak blacks, and now they're just so strong they're gonna take you over.
You made a superhuman race. Ironically, you claim to be the superior race, and you created a superhuman superior race. It's the most ironic thing that's ever happened in history.
Idiots. But then that's why you introduced Planned Parenthood. Because Planned Parenthoods in America are mostly in low income housing, which is by blacks and minorities, so you're just killing the very superhumans. And I'll go further on the little 10 abortion things, because now that I think about it, it's funny I said that, because after my dad had his 7th kid with 5 different women, the state of New York was like, we'll pay for the vasectomy. The only reason my dad can't have more children is because the state of New York paid for it.
Is that real?
I've never lied on this program. I'm
Is
not
it?
going to start.
But
Yeah.
like,
Well, he
is that
doesn't
the
pay
whole
child,
context?
never
Was
paid
it
child support.
literally like you had too many kids? We'll give you a
Dude
vasectomy.
never paid child support. He's having kids and not taking care of them. Just get your dick clipped. We'll pay for it. We'll pay the $2,000 to cut your balls off.
I've always had to have this argument with Eve and her mom, and I'm like, I
Never get
here's
clipped, boys.
no. Here's the thing. Like, it's such an emotional argument. It's the same thing with like the death penalty. It's just such an emotional argument, and I understand the emotions of it. But like, at some point, we have to talk about what's right. And they'll be talking about like a family that has like, she's got 6 kids, she don't take care of any of them, 4 of them been taken away, and she's pregnant again. They should sterilize these people. And I'm like, nope, can't. I'm sorry, you just can't. You can't do it. You can't allow the government to sterilize people. You just can't give
They're
them
going to
that
sterilize
power.
everybody. They're already sterilizing me, but they're going to mass sterilize people.
Open.
They're going to go door to door and just cut your fucking pussy tubes off. Cut my dick off. They'll just lop. They're not even going to like vast deference me. They'll just lop the shit off.
It's the same
And then
argument
they'll
that I
sell
have.
me a fake strap-on penis, David, that's government funded too. And then they'll say, without me, you wouldn't be able to have sex with your wife.
It's the same argument I have for the death penalty. At the end of the day,
Call
I understand because it's always emotional. It's always this guy raped a child and killed the mother. Like, and it's always like the worst, most heinous shit. And I understand, and that person absolutely doesn't deserve to live anymore. I 100% agree emotionally, but you can't let the government have the power to kill you. I'm sorry, you just can't do it.
Yes, because look at what they did with abortion. They took 1% of cases, rape and incest. Well, rape and incest, well, the people with the coat hangers, and now we have 10. You could kill your kids 10 times.
Oh,
Kill 10
we tried.
children.
Oh, you tried to abort the child, and it didn't quite work. And now the child's born. You still want to kill it? That happens. That's a real thing.
Or go extreme. How about in China, the one child policy, because there's, quote, too many people. Now they're going to go all fucking gook up and die out there, fucking fish fucks. So they only have boys. There's not enough girls, and they're running out of people. And they literally made women give birth and kill the kid in front of them. Tell me how that can't come to America. Because we just have the illusion of tyranny here. We don't actually have tyranny. We just have the illusion of tyranny. And what I mean by that is we're in tyrannical states of America with corporations. They have corporate rights. We don't have rights. They just make you think you're free. Over there, they're actually not free. So that's,
Where did I read?
10 abortions ain't too bad, I guess.
I read somewhere that was it the EU maybe was suing X because it refused to censor some of its users. Let me see if I can find this.
And I'll go even further. The rich people aren't getting abortions. The rich people aren't getting sterilized. The rich people aren't eating the bullshit food. So like, why are we as regular people not doing what the wealthy and healthy people do? Rich people get married. They tell you to not get married as a poor person. Like, what are we talking about? It's not all about wealth, but I mean, like the healthy, successful people that have good marriages and good family structures and have extended families and can take care of their aging parents and all this shit and afford to have their wife stay home so that they can raise their children and homeschool them. I'm working on a guy's house right now. He's in the military. He's going to retire. He's got a house, homestead on an island, like Grand Island. So natural barrier, putting solar on there. He's going to homeschool, drinks raw milk. Like, this guy is
Yeah,
ungovernable.
legend. We have raw milk in town, Ryan, and maybe one time I'll get you some. But it's for farm animals only, farm use only.
Yeah,
That's how they get away with selling it.
just like ivermectin is only for horse
It's for horse,
tranquilizer.
yeah, it's horse tranquilizer, of course, and definitely wasn't FDA approved for anything else.
Cancer.
EU takes Elon Musk's ex to court over blue checks and ads. Now, the title of this article sounds misleading, and I'll explain why. The European Union brought its first charges under a new social media law on Friday, accusing Elon Musk's X of violating the regulation, by deceiving users and not living up to transparency requirements. European regulators say when Musk relaunched the blue checkmark verification system after he purchased Twitter in late 2022, he allowed anyone to pay for the once coveted badge. That led to the platform becoming flooded with spoof accounts, impersonators, and a glut of misleading information.
The 1%.
It negatively affects users' ability, this is a quote, to make free and informed decisions about the authenticity of the accounts and the content they interact with. The commission wrote in
No,
its
it
findings.
allows a nobody to pay $1.99 a fucking month to be somebody and maybe monetize their ideas on the fucking free and open market internet, you piece of shit. You know, if I were to open a business, I'd have to get a business license. What's different with Twitter? What's different?
Because there's misinformation, Ryan.
Yeah, it's uncontrollable. That's why, David.
There's evidence of motivated malicious actors abusing the verified account to deceive users.
Dude, to open an LLC in the state of New York, you have to pay for 6 months of advertisement, and it can't be on the internet. It has to be on a billboard, in the phone book, in the paper, placards. It has to be old school advertisement. That's a requirement for an LLC in New York State. But I can't pay $1.99 a month, $3.99 a month for a fucking X account because it's flooded with. It's called gatekeeping. Social
And
media is free, but you can get it's less free over here. You can get more freedom if you paid $3.
in the European Union, authorities say the new blue check system violates the law. In particular, a regulation known as the Digital Services Act, or the DSA, which forces large social media companies to aggressively police harmful content or face financial penalties.
The DSA dick sucking authority, dude.
You know, here's the thing: like you made a point recently, and that's what actually brought all this up. It's like the United States does the same tyrannical stuff other nations do, but because of the nature of the United States, the history of the United States, our government has to fucking pretend it doesn't. The EU's out in the open saying, you violated our law because you didn't censor speech on your platform. Basically, that's what they're saying. Let's be honest.
Hey, you
The
called the guy
United
a faggot. We're gonna come arrest you when you're butt naked in the shower and send
10
19
men
male
and one woman.
officers for 120-pound literal soaking wet female.
But in the
This
United
shit right
States,
now.
in the
Don't
United
swear.
States,
I'm mad. I'm so mad that I can just hear a story of a woman talk with her British, Scottish, Irish accent that she basically got sexually molested with police, the authority, the cops, the authorities' eyes. Can you guys go downstairs and leave me with like the girl? How about you just let somebody be? Hitler used to strip Jews down, anti-Holocaust denier I am. He fucking Schindler's List. You strip people down, make them run in a circle naked. What's different? Tell me what's different.
in the
Sorry,
United States, Ryan,
prove me.
we have to. Well, I just want to.
Yeah.
It's
Close the loop.
different
Thank
here.
you.
And instead of being out in the open, what do, Ryan? We found this out. This turned out to be true. We always knew this was true, but it turned out to be true. That there were backdoor portals. The government was using direct communications with social media companies in telling them who and who not to censor. And the social media companies here played ball. And because they were private companies, Ryan, of course they were allowed to do such a thing. The government can't censor your speech, but a private company can because, Ryan is a private company, and of course they're allowed to do such a thing. It's the same thing. The government here was censoring our speech on social media, just like the government across the globe uses their power to censor people on social media. Our government had to hide it.
It's crazy they care more about private companies than private citizens. It's absolutely insane. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. I told somebody today the same thing I said the other day about like I should just get paid in Ryan dollars. Like kill central banking. We don't even need banks. Kill central
But then,
banking, pay
then
me
there
in
would be
Ryan
a
dollars,
there'd be a Rhine
and
dollar
then
shortage.
it's digital currency.
It could still be a shortage.
Well, when if I ever need to work, I'll just go work DoorDash, and then DoorDash could pay me in Ryan DoorDash dollars. The smallest government is the individual. We now all have smartphones. We can all be our individual government. Leave me the fuck
Well,
alone.
the best government, as we had found, actually is a point Mandy put in the chat here. Encouraging the disintegration of the nuclear family makes us more willing to comply with the government plan and less likely to stand up and demand a better society for our children. The nuclear family is literally the best governing body in biological, in the history of the world, and in like in anything. Like it is the only governing body that matters is the nuclear family.
And and it encompasses all the things we talk about. History, religion, politics, and art are all in the nuclear family. The history of your family, the politics of your family, the religion of your family, the art of your family. It's like it's baked into your family. Your family mythos is what you inherit. And that's where like people say that America doesn't have culture, and it's kind of correct, but it's not correct at all. Because like the idea of America is the myth of America that you can come here and be whoever you want and your family, you can grow whatever you want. That is fleeting. That's a fleeting thing because there is no family. How can you grow? How can you build something without help? No man's an island, let alone build a business. You know, like I always say, the big shame in my family is the trauma and the abuse and the drugs and the alcohol and the scandals, and that's bad enough. But the real shame in my family is that my grandfather died early because I can't help but think he was a businessman and he he fell from grace for his own whatever. But I can't help but think if you were to look at his family with like, there's 30 of us basically, and we all have different skills and unique talents. And, we're basically, everybody's in a different type of field, education, construction, this, that. And it's like, if he could just like take this person and do this thing with them, he could like just cherry pick and put him in this position. And it'd be like, and that's how wealth's created. That's how these grand families are created. It's planned. Estate planning, you know, like it's planned. And I can't fault them or whatever. Like my family were immigrants 100 years ago. They came here off a fucking boat with wrapped in potato skins. I don't even think they had shoes. Like I'm grateful for my opportunity, but it's just like I can't help but just think like if there was just a little bit more discipline and planning where we'd all be, because there's so many of us with different chemical makeups and biologies, and it would just be cool. Like, and maybe I romanticize it, David, but maybe I want to do that in my family, but there's all this history, religion, politics, and art in my family that prevents it from happening. And only
You know,
because I understand that I can navigate all these different people.
it's funny that you say that you might romanticize it because you could make an argument that people don't romanticize it enough, right? Like
I do have an imagination, dude.
yeah, but like should is
Or it's the meth
what
talking.
you're describing and saying romanticizing, right? Like isn't that what everybody should strive for? Really? I mean, like I'm not going to push anybody to make decisions for themselves or whatever, but like isn't that really ultimately the goal?
Well, it's kind of like it. Most people, back to elite people, the reason people are elite is they have a goal, they have a dream, or they have a vision, and they're driven to go after it no matter what. And after a while, they cut out the bad people, they cut out the drugs, they cut out the alcohol, they get 8 hours of sleep. And then you're like, how the fuck did you get here? Alex Hormozy talks about this. On your way up the mountain, everybody roots for you because they remind you of the dream. They remind you of their dreams. And then when you're at the top, they're like, oh, it must be nice. And the reason they say that is because they remind you that they gave up on it. They get bitter because they didn't do what you did. Everybody wants the physique, but doesn't want to work for it. Everybody wants the wealth, but doesn't want to put in the sleepless nights. Everybody wants this, but doesn't want to do that. You want the result without the input. Now, we can think we get it and all this shit, but yeah, I mean, Yeah, and I think some people, to my point, the people that I'm describing in my family personally, they don't have an imagination, or they don't think they can do great things, or they don't know what to do. So when I come along, I'm like, dude, Josh, my little brother, dude, you should do this. Well, I don't really know. It was like, I don't want to fucking be an electrician either, bro. But what else you gonna do? What else you gonna do? Jerk off and work at Mighty Taco? I can't wait to go put the robot in that replaces you. That's what I told him. But he doesn't have, now I don't blame him because of the history, religion, politics of my family, right? Like, I understand the situation, but at some point it's like, since I understand that situation, I can take him out of that situation and just give him a little something. I can give him a little puzzle pieces, but it's up to him. But if I was more wealthy, maybe if I had a business, excuse me, I could just hire my little brother, which is what wealthy people do. The dealership, how many of them boys just walked around? They were washing cars, making fucking more money than us. By more money than us, they probably didn't get paid, but they probably got it put into a trust while they were in college because the owner of the dealership paid for their college funds so that they could go, and they worked through the whole stages of the dealership to know all the different people and who does what and what depart. It's not fucking by accident. Now, maybe, Dave, back to romanticize, maybe I think like this because the people that raised us in the business world that we were grown up in at the prime years of our life. I was a teenager when I worked for that. A teenager. I was 18 and 19 years old. Shit, that goes back to high school. I was 16 when I first worked in that dealership. 16, 17, 18, 19, till I was 26. Best college of my life. But yeah, so, and to go to your 80-20%, David, the reason I get back to my family, the history of religion, politics, and art, the reason I am the black sheep, the outlier, the outcast, is because I won't compromise on my 20%. Fuck, even if it's 2%. Because in my vision, if I compromise 2%, I'm no better than they are. And it's not that they're bad people, but when I look at all the people in my family that gave up their hopes and dreams and desires, or fell to addictions or bad habits, or didn't get their sleep, or punched their wife in the face, or some of these are made up, it didn't really all happen. But like, when I look at that, it's like in my view, if I compromise and I cave to those 2%, I'm no different than you, and then I will eventually become you. When I see a homeless man on the side of the road, I think to myself, I'm 10 decisions away from being him. And I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen. So I do think it's funny, to round this out, the Candace Owens thing, the Tim Pool thing, the Joe Rogan thing, right? Like, we heard for years, the internet's irrelevant, it's misinformation, for years. Then I watched the media die. I watched newspaper die. I watched Dan Rather literally die. I watched 60 Minutes lose credibility. I watched the Washington Post and the New York Times and all these things lose credibility and lose five-star journalism and Nobel Peace Prize given out to murderers. And now you're telling me, oh, they're ruining basically, Candace is ruining the Republican Party. And who's it coming from? Republicans. It's because America doesn't want what you're selling. The product you have is shit. That's why the Democrats are going to win. It's not Candace Owens' fault. It's not Alex Jones' fault. It's not Tucker's fault. It's not Nick Fuentes' fault. It's not Crowder's fault. It's not Dave and Ryan at December 1773's fault. It's not my fault that the product you sell me sucks. If I buy a bad car from a bad place, I'm not going back there. Let the Democrats win. Because you know what? What was the only thing that bonded United States of America against this shitty ideology, David, was we don't want to let them win because America's going to be fucked. And everybody's like, America's going to be fucked. And then if you look at the other side of the aisle, look at what they got. Why do you think the fucking Muslim won New York City? Product placement, messaging, marketing. Also, it's hard to beat Santa Claus. But that's part of marketing. By Santa Claus, that's a Rush Limbaugh trope. I know you know this, David, but Rush Limbaugh always said the liberals and the Democrats win because they give away free shit. They're like Santa Claus. So, like, who's going to vote against getting free shit? Kathy Hochul gave out $200.
Well, it
Check.
would certainly take a disagreeable person, right?
I'm the only. I can't. I should talk to a pastor about this because I'm the only one I've ever heard say Jesus was a disagreeable person. You know, I've heard different ways. He was a rebel. He was a badass. I've heard it put that way, but like, no, he's just super disagreeable. He was just authentic. It's like, no, I'm the son of God. You're like, no, you're not. I'd be like, crucify me, bitch. And they did. You know, I actually, we good? We good? Because I got like a funny story.
Yeah.
So there's this dude. It's called Dr. OG Gamer. I've referenced him, Good Gamer or something, on the podcast. He's like a Buddhist Tibetan monk, video game psychologist, therapist on the internet.
Okay, that's a lot of things.
He's like a yogi. I'll send you a link. He was describing divine and divinity today in such an amazing way. And he basically said that like 1,000 years ago when somebody was like, basically, I'm going to use authenticity in the way he used the word divine just so that it's palatable. But he basically just said the people that were super authentic and understood shit and suffered a lot became religious figures. Buddha, Jesus, fucking Gandhi. Like, their egos, there was no ego. They killed their egos and they just were so. That's why, like, they were like divine. That's literally why they had cult-like followings, is because their energy, their being, their essence, their authenticity, them as a person was so like captivating. People were like, "You're my God." Like, think of that. And he also said, which I thought was very interesting. He said, if you are in search of being a divine person like that, he's like, that's your ego. So you're actually not being divine by trying to search for divine. A lot of people that get that divine energy didn't ask for it. They suffered. And they go through the worst of shit. And then in there, they find God. They literally find something out of world. And then they alkalize it. And they just embody that thing that they found through God. And that's why they're unshakable. They're undisagreeable. That's why you can burn my body. You can bankrupt me. You can put me in prison. I will fucking steal people's electricity for you. I don't care. There's nothing you are going to do to me in this realm. There's nothing. You have nothing. You cannot buy what's for sale. You can't threaten me with death. You can't threaten with beating me up. And those people were no different. You know, I'm not saying I'm Jesus, David. But I couldn't help but, like, maybe that's my ego, right? But I couldn't help but just think about that. Like, there's been points in my life that, like, when you're the only one in the room and you're just like, fuck all of you, and they all laugh at you. Very few people do that in the history of humanity. And then here we are. Candace Owens is swaying a whole election. Nick Fuentes.
But she doesn't have any
swaying whole. No famous friends. Just can sway 300 million people's. Well, we'll split it in half, right? 150 million people. That's divine level influence, David. You know, and I think I can't help but think that just some of these people, like I said this about Candace, right? I've said this for a while. Who the fuck pissed you off? Was it the devil? Did the devil come up and threaten your family? Did like something had to be like, you know what? I'm not doing it. I'm not selling myself out. You know, Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes got mad at Marley Taylor Greene. And he said, revolutionaries don't get a personal life. He said, I haven't had a personal life since I've been 15. And he called her a coward. He said, revolutionaries don't get personal lives. George Washington didn't have a personal life. And Dave, I really can't help but think that we are in this weird time in human history that because things are so palatable and documentable and recordable and expendable, like they expand, but they're shareable. You know, it's not even like, oh, I shared on Facebook. You can literally just take a link from Facebook and share it to somebody. And once again, we're past the algorithm bullshit that they said that people told you existed that didn't exist, and then people got canceled, and then Zuckerberg said that the government with their portals told them. Like we're through that now. So that the con's up. We fucking know. Everybody knows it's common nomenclature. We're just in this weird time that like Alex Hormozy actually said this. The people with the biggest balls are going to be remembered the most because most people are so afraid to go against the grain that it's only going to be the people with the massive balls that are like, fuck all of you, that are going to be anything. That are going to, because Dave and I will not sell out 20%. I've said you cannot have 99% free. I've had that saying forever. You can't have 99% liberty. It just does. You're free or you're not. May your chains rest upon you lightly. Patrick Henry, still to this day, bomb line, dope bars, still to this day, inspired by God, if I'm not mistaken.
My favorite Rogan quote, Ryan. The point of fuck you money is to say fuck you.
Fuck you. Another one that I've always loved is you are making reasonable people do unreasonable things. And we all got swords to bear, and I guess we got to fall on them sometimes. So, Dave Ryan, December 17th, 73. Catch us on Rumble as we are on our road to 100,000 overall views on the channel. As always, David, I appreciate you most for your time. Enjoy your little thing tomorrow. I hope you have a good time and enjoy your weekend.
Still don't know where I'm going.
Oh, dude, she's gonna fucking get it. Never mind. I'll keep it PG. As always, David, I appreciate you most for your time, and I'll see everybody later.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.